Like, no one in Korea has ever called me a cotton picker. This is the first time that I've seen a police car. Exponentially more safe here. Yesterday I was talking to my aunt about coming back to the United States because she thought maybe I felt a little unsafe or uncomfortable living in Korea as a black guy. And my aunt, she keeps talking to me about this. She keeps asking me, like, when am I gonna come home? When am I gonna return to America? Because, like, don't I miss being around black people? Don't I feel like safer in America than I feel here in Korea? Like, aren't I discriminated against in Korea because of my skin color? And I'm like, no, definitely not. If anything, it's the opposite. Like, no, why would anyone think that? Like, Korea is definitely the safest country that I have ever traveled to, have ever traveled in. Always reminded of like this one time when I first arrived in Korea and I was living in the countryside, and I was like really amazed and surprised at one thing that I saw, and this thing I would never see in Atlanta, in the city where I grew up. And the train is coming. Let me get the train first and then I'll tell you the story. I got some time before the next train comes, so let me tell you about the story that happened in the countryside when I first came to Korea. So I was walking down the street, going to a restaurant, I think, or going somewhere. But anyways, like, I saw something very peculiar, something that I would never see in a neighborhood, an African-American neighborhood in Atlanta, where I'm from. And that is, I saw a girl who was like maybe in the 3rd or 4th grade. She was just walking down the street with her backpack on, and she actually wasn't walking, she was like skipping, as if she had like no care in the world. And the amazing part was that it was about 10 or 10:30 at night. This is like my first taste of the level of safety, of security here in Korea that doesn't exist in America. Like, nowhere in America do I know of, maybe there's a small town somewhere, but really there's no place that I know of where a young girl who's like in the 3rd grade or 4th grade can walk down a town street at 10 o'clock or 10:30 at night by herself, skipping, without having to worry about someone trying to kidnap her or do something else. So if Koreans are feeling safe here, I mean, of course, I'm going to feel safe. And, I guess that's not talking about the discrimination or anything that I might feel as a black person or African American here in Korea. But as far as like the safety part, like, yeah, I feel incredibly, exponentially more safe here. Of the video, the self-service bakery that I went inside of, to get my favorite cookies. And, the first time I saw that self-service bakery, I was just like, there's no way, there's no freaking way. There's a self-service bakery. There's no client, or excuse me, there's no cashier. There's no attendant inside to take the money or anything like that. I was just like, come on now, like, come on, Korea, like, that's going a little too far. I just walked in there, I grabbed my cookies, and then actually behind me, other people came in and bought some cookies and baked goods as well. So I'm just like, wow, this is also another example of the level of safety and security that exists here in Korea that you will never find in the United States. There's another factor to take into consideration, and that is, like, there is not a huge police presence on the streets, like patrolling or walking around. Like in Atlanta or in the United States, I'm sure if there were self-service markets like there here in Korea, then there would be like tons of police like walking around the areas to make sure that no one's stealing anything. But here in Korea, like, the trust level is so high that you don't have police walking around the streets, the city, all day long. And this is the first time that I've seen a police car, and this is in a city that has like 20 million within the metropolitan area. So I work at a university. I teach 4 days a week there, and when I go to school, the security in the front of the school are actually like 5 elderly guys. They're not elderly, but they're not like spry anymore either. And the extent of the security that they actually do at the school is when people come to the school, they welcome them and they make sure that those people know where to go if they have any questions about where something is located in the school. Other than that, like, I don't see them walking around the campus, checking on professors or checking on students or checking on like anything, even the visitors. There's so many visitors that come in and out of the school every day. So it's like, you know, anything can happen, but you never ever see a police car or a patrol car or even a security officer just randomly walking around the school. Opposed to like going to school in America, like at the universities there was always a huge police presence. I remember at the school where I graduated, my friend and I went to like a concert or something at night, and when we came back out, someone broke into his car, they busted the window and they took his radio. So, you know, we're just like, you know, damn, we can't have any kind of peace and quiet. And I remember situations like that would happen often at other schools, and even the high school that I went to. You know, we would go to basketball games and, you know, you come outside and the alarms on cars are like, you know, going off and stuff because people are breaking into each other's cars, taking stuff, you know, that doesn't belong to them. And this is the reason why I'm saying like a self-service store like the one here in Korea will never be able to exist in the United States. The majority of those instances were other African Americans doing that to each other, you know, breaking into cars, taking radios and things like that, or, you know, causing disturbances in Atlanta when I was growing up. There was other African Americans doing that. And I'm just like, why would I ever think about returning to that? You know, maybe I'm discriminated against here in Korea to some degree, even though I haven't really felt it, because like I kind of think most people are either scared of me, or they're really nice to me, or they're just indifferent. And the majority of the time I meet really nice people, like 80% of the time it's like really nice people. It's like 15% most people are like indifferent, and the other, like, I guess 5% people probably are like not scared. Well, yeah, they're xenophobic. They're like, oh, it's a foreigner. Why would I ever want to come back? Why would I ever want to go back to the United States and have to deal with that? Even though I'm not saying, of course, it's not all black people are doing that. I myself, I'm black. I'm black, so I'm not hating on my people, but it's kind of like, you know, we're in situations where we're harming ourselves, and then I'm asked if I want to return to that. And the answer is unequivocally no, because I don't want to like go down that rabbit hole, because I'll be there forever. Let's talk about like me traveling in Korea. You know, usually when I'm traveling in Korea to different cities, you know, in the countryside, I don't see any other like black people around me. And, you know, even though I'm usually the only foreigner and I'm a black American, like no one ever treats me bad. Like no one ever like looks at me like, oh my God, there's a black person over there, or you know, oh my God, you know, this guy's coming, he's scary, he's dangerous looking. I mean, do I look dangerous? Do I look scary? Probably not. I smile like way too much, but yeah, I feel very safe and secure. People are always like, they're welcoming, they're hospitable, they're you know, extending a hand, they're always helping me out. So yeah, traveling around Korea, like I have no problems at all, you know, being able to navigate safely, and, you know, not have to have any like occurrences where people are, you know, being judgmental, racist, or, you know, having stereotypes against me. Actually, it's to the opposite. When I go to places in the countryside, people are always giving me like free food. I had this one guy take me to like a cafe just to talk to me, and he was like, you know, oh, you're American, blah, 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 blah. And he was like, okay, it's cool that you're traveling around Korea. Welcome to my town. And then he got up and he left. And I was just like, okay. Like, so yeah, I feel very safe here, even traveling on my own in other cities outside of Seoul, where there aren't very many African Americans or even foreigners. Safe here at night for women. Of course, you know, you've had some incidents where women have been targeted, but as I said before, wherever there are people, there's going to be some sort of crime. You just can't get away from that. But like in Atlanta, in my city, I would never walk the streets of the city at night alone. Never, 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 never. Because there's just too much that can happen, and too much that has already happened. So I don't want to go down that road that road again. No pun intended. But here in Seoul or any of the cities that I travel in Korea, I can be out, 11 o'clock at night, midnight, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock by myself, and nothing ever happens to me. Like, I've never come across a situation where I'm alone and people are like targeting me to do something violent toward me, or trying to steal something from me or cause me any kind of harm. So it's like, why would I ever want to leave this situation, this really safe situation, for a situation where anything can happen? We all know about the violence that happens in America. We all know about George Floyd and all of these other instances where African Americans have been harmed. And sometimes it's by police, sometimes it's by ourselves. We're harming each other, but I just don't experience it here. And a lot of the other African Americans or Africans or black, how do you say, black UK people, what is it, black English or something, and I met like some black Australian people here too. Like, they haven't had any kind of instances where they were targeted for hate crimes or anything either. Sometimes there is discrimination, but like physical violence, nah, it just doesn't happen. Now I'm actually in the park where I do a lot of my walking at night. Yeah, I come to this park at night a lot. And as you can see now, there are some elderly people here. There are some young people walking around. There are some people over there playing with their dogs. They're just out in the park having fun. And as you can see, no police presence anywhere. For America, like, if I were ever to come to the park, there would always be police like walking around the park. I don't know how it is now. Maybe still, yes, but there would be patrol cars going down the street, or sometimes police cars would be resting in the park's parking lot. So yeah, just in case something would happen, especially like in the hood, in my part of town, where stuff gets down sometimes. But yeah, you just don't see that here. Yeah, they're just out here and they're chilling, and people are just enjoying themselves. Nothing is happening at all. 2 weekends ago, I went to the Han River. There were thousands of people out there and not one single police officer. And no one was like stealing from each other. No one was like pushing or shoving or anything like that. They were just sitting down on the ground, watching the light, watching the water, enjoying themselves, talking, watching their iPads, eating. There were couples there. Everyone was just happy, enjoying the weather. Not one single police officer. There were tons of street food vendors, tons and tons and tons of them, but not one single police officer. And I just can't think of an instance in the United States where there would be thousands of people gathered like that and there wouldn't be a big police presence. Look at this lady over here, just riding on her little scooter. That's what I'm talking about. Like, no one in Korea has ever called me a cotton picker. No one. No one has ever said, "Oh, you cotton picker," which is a derogatory reference to the past enslavement of African Americans in the United States and the other colonies in the Caribbeans where plantations were. But in America, I was called a cotton picker. Even though it only happened once, it stuck with me. I was working at the supermarket and a customer came in and she asked for, the beans. And I directed her to where the beans were, and come to find out, I directed her to the wrong area. So she called me over and I came, and it's an elderly, European descent woman or white woman. And of course, not all white people are bad. I'm not saying this, I'm just giving you this singular experience that happened. So I walked over to her and I was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to make that mistake. I thought it was actually on this aisle and not that aisle." And she was like, "Well, you cotton picker, why don't you, make sure you understand where things are next time?" And I was like, "Huh?" And I was like 19 or 20 years old. And I didn't fully understand what it meant, but I felt the implications behind, what she said, cotton picker. And of course you study slavery or the enslavement period in high school. So you're just like, she just called me a cotton picker? I was driving to my girlfriend's house when I was like 20, and the police, they pulled me over in a city called Duluth in Atlanta. And everyone knows like Duluth is notorious for, racially profiling people. So I was African American, or I am African American, but yeah, the police pulled me over and they were checking the car, and then they called additional squad cars. And I was like, yo, I'm only one skinny, guy, like I can't cause you any trouble. So they kept checking my car to make sure there were no weapons of mass destruction. I didn't have any like drugs or anything in the car. And I was like, no, I just told you I don't have anything. I'm on my way to my girlfriend's house, and we're gonna have dinner with her parents and blah, 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 blah. And they're like, okay, are you sure? And I was like, yeah. And then the police officer asked me, he was like, so where do you work? And I was like, I work at Bank of America. And he was like, okay. So then he goes off with my license. He comes back and he was like, I'm gonna give you a warning. Your tail light, or not the tail light, but your front light is out. So I went to my girlfriend's house. I explained the situation to her parents, and her mom is black, African American. Her father is white. And her parents were like, the only reason why they let you off is because of the way you speak. Like here in Korea, I don't ever have to worry about a police officer pulling me over and asking me like, do you have weapons in your car, and then calling additional squad cars just for one lonely guy who can't do anything to a police officer who has a gun. The safety in America versus the safety in Korea, especially for African Americans, there is more research that I could do just to make the video more empirical, but this is just like me ranting about my aunt having the audacity to ask me if I feel comfortable being in Korea. Do I miss black people? Do I want to return to America? Hell no, I don't. Korea is destroying America when it comes to safety. So if you're African American, you're thinking of coming to Korea to visit or to work, to travel, to do whatever, feel free to come. You'll be treated very well, in my opinion. Okay, that's it for me today. I'm gonna go home, get something to eat, and get to exercising. So take care, I love you guys. See you in the next one. Stay hydrated and take care. Peace.